Chapter 6 Kingdoms, Kings and Early Republic. Election Day. Shankram walked up to see his grandparents already to go and vote. They wanted to be the first to reach the polling booth. Why Shankram wanted to know were they so excited? Somewhat independent, his grandfather explained it. We can choose our on rulers today. How some men become rulers. Choosing leaders or rulers by voting is something that has become common during the last 50 years or so. How did men become rulers in the past? Some of the rajas we read about in chapter 5 were probably chosen by the Janas, the people, but around 3000 years ago we find some changes taking place in the way in which rajas were chosen. Some men now become recognized as rajas by performing very big sacrifice. The Ahavan Megha or horse sacrifice was on such a rituals. A horse was let loose to wander free, and it was graded by the Raja's men. If the horse wandered into the kingdoms of others Rajas and they stopped it, they had to fight. If they allow the horse to pass, it meant that they accepted that the Rajas who wanted to perform the sacrifice was stronger than them. These rajas were the invited to the sacrifice, which was performed satisfactorily, turning the priests who were rewarded with gifts. The rajas who organized the sacrifice were recognized as being very powerful, and all the who come brought a gift for him. The rajas was a central figure in these rituals. He often had a special seat or throne or a skin. His crooked who was his champion the battlefield and witnessed his explore. Saturday tells of his glory. His relatives, especially his wives and sons, had to perform a variety of minor rituals. Others Raja were simply spectators who had to sit and watch the performance of the sacrifice. Priests performed the rituals, including the sprinkling of sacred water on the kings. The ordinary people to the wish or Vishweshya also brought a gift. However, some people, such as those who were regarded as Sardars by the priests, were excluded from many rituals. Make a list of all those who would be present at a sacrifice, which are the categories that are described in terms of their occupation. Varnas. We have many books that were composed in North India, especially in the areas drained by the Ganga and the Yamuna during this period. These books are often called later Vedic because they were composed after the Rig Veda, about which you learn in chapter 5. This included the Samveda, Yajurveda and Atharvaveda as well as other books. These were composed by priests and described how rituals were to be performed. They also contained rules about society. There were several different groups in society at this time: priests and warriors, farmers, traders, craft persons, laborers, fishing folk, and forest people. Some priests and warriors were rich, as were some farmers and traders. Others, including many herders, craft persons, laborers, fishing folk, and hunters and gatherers, were poor. The priests divided people into 4 groups called Varnas. The Sangha, both the Mahavira and the Buddhas felt that only those who left their haunts could gain true knowledge. They arranged for them to stay together in the Sangha, an association of those who left their homes. The rulers made for the Buddhist Sangha were written down in a book called the Vinaya Pitaka. From this, we know that there were separate branches for men and women. All men could join the Sangha. However, children had to take the permission of their parents and selves that of their masters. Those who worked for the king had to take his permission, and devotees that of creators women had to take their husbands' permission. Men and women who joined the Sanghas led simple lives. They meditated for most of the time and went to cities and villages to be beg for food during fixed hours. That is why they were known as because the Prakriti word for renouncers beggar and because they taught others and helped one another. They also had a meeting to settle and quarrels that took place within the Sanghas. Those who joined the Sanghas included Brahmins, Kshatriyas, merchants, laborers, and barbers, courtesans, and cells. So many of them wrote down the teaching of the Buddhas. Some of them also composed beautiful poems describing their life in the Sanghas. List at least two ways in which the Sanghas described it in this lesson was different from the one monitored in chapter 6, where there are any similarities. Okay, monasteries. To begin with, both Jain and Buddhist monarchs went from palace to palace throughout the year, teaching people. The only time they stayed in one palace was during the rainy season, then when it was very difficult to travel. Then their supporters built temporary shelter for them in gardens, or they lived in natural caves in hilly areas. As time went on, many supporters of the monarchs and nuns and they themselves felt the need for more permanent shelters, and so monasteries were built. These were known as varnas. The earliest varnas were made of wood and then of bricks. Some were even in caves that were dug out in hills, especially in western India. Buddhist text tells us just as the waters of rivers lose their names and separateness when they flow into the mighty oceans, so are varnas and ranks and family forgotten when the followers of the flowers of the Buddha join the order of monarchs. Very often, the land on which the vihars was built was donated by a rich merchant or a landowner or a king. The local people come with gifts of food, clothing, and medicines for the monarchs and nuns. In return, they taught the people. Over the century, Buddhism spread to many parts of the subcontinent and beyond. You will learn more about in this chapter.